Okay, so it's now 11 o'clock, which is the time we should have finished the session. I'm going to give the speakers 3 minutes each to respond to the points that have been raised on the floor, and then we're going to finish the discussion. But I would like to thank everybody for a really constructive conversation and to take on board the things that everybody has been saying about how important it is to have these discussions face to face. So please continue to talk to each other. So I'm going to go in reverse order from how they spoke before. So Ali, to start.
Okay. Firstly, to Claire, I can't see you now. I think you're sitting down. So much love to you from everybody at Women's Place UK. You've been fantastic in supporting our work, and most of us did see a lot of the abuse and harassment that you got. And I want to be explicitly clear, as a white woman, that it is not good enough just to be anti-racist. We talk about using our voices, so we use our voices to say things, and we need to be explicitly anti-racist. So when issues come up, and they always will, right? There will always be issues in every movement, whether it's misogyny, homophobia, or racism, that we keep our own house clean, and that white women explicitly say it time and time again, that we will do the work that is required to do that, so you don't have to. And just to refer to what a sister in the Green Party said back there, completely, we must make space for women to discuss things, to change their minds. But we are a political movement, and political movements don't work unless we're explicitly clear about our values and what we want, right? That's what's different. So it's not too much to ask people to be explicitly clear about their lines, their boundaries, and what they want, because then we know how to collectivise and how to work together. So it is important to say those things. And then I wanted just to go back to Jenny about Sister Salon. You can find us online. It's a very simple format. We hire a room monthly. We put it on Eventbrite. We have a free creche. We're funded entirely by donations of women that attend. We are in the process of trying to get grants. Brighton Council has kept us waiting for about 6 months now, because we're obviously using single-sex exceptions, and they're asking us bizarre questions. We were very, very lucky to get a really generous donation by a woman that was here yesterday who donated us £500, because the first 7 months has been difficult with a surplus of about 20 quid in the bank. But we do consciousness raising, but the women there set the tone of what they want to speak about and what actions they want to do. So that's that. I think that's about my 3 minutes, isn't it? Yeah.
I suppose I just talk a little bit more about why we absolutely must stay in the movement. Women are make up at least half the trade union movement, at least that. And in some unions, we make up a huge majority, certainly in the union that I'm in. And we've achieved so much for women in the trade union movement. Just a couple of examples, like in the Republic of Ireland, for example, if you look at the work they've done around abortion rights in the Republic of Ireland, the instrumental work they did around Repeal the Eighth, the trade union movement was so important in that. And since then, they've done work on how abortion is a workplace issue, and the guidance that they've produced around that is just groundbreaking. We can't walk away from that type of influence. And the work in my own union on sexual harassment and sexism in schools is absolutely vital to making schools better places for the young people that we work with. We can't walk away from that type of influence. So it's really important that we stay in our trade unions and do that type of work to make just make society a better place. And it's women who are driving that work. And so it's really important that we do that. I wanted to pick up the fact that someone talked about how we fought racism, we fought sexism, and we understood that, and it was easy to do that. There were people who weren't didn't agree with that. We had to have that fight in the trade union movement, and we had to move people on the anti-racism work and the anti-sexism work. And to be fair, we still are moving people on those issues within those areas of equality work that we're doing in our unions. So we keep moving people all the time, and we stay there to have those campaigns and those fights. And that's exactly what we are doing in my union. We're doing it in the trade union movement as a whole. And sometimes we'll have setbacks, and sometimes we then regroup and we think about how we do that. And that's, I think that's why you stay where you are. Sometimes it's not you that stays there, but you leave a succession behind you so that there are more people coming up behind you to do that work. Certainly social media is playing a part, but you bring women together, you create those networks. In real life is clearly more important, but that's what the trade union movement is based on. It's based on debate. It started on having people in large groups having debates, or in small groups having debates, and then they organise, and then they strategise, and then they build campaigns. That is the trade union movement. They're there to agitate and to change things, and that's what we will continue to do. There was an attack on FiLiA in my own union earlier on this year, and we did not let that attack go unchallenged in the NEU, and we opened people's eyes to a lot of the nonsense that was talked about FiLiA. And that's because there were so many people in our union who knew that it was a nonsense. And it's enabled us to put our position to even more people now in our union. And many more now see the attack for what it was, an outrageous assault on what is a fantastic organisation. And so I'm very proud to be here speaking today. I'm here in a personal capacity, but I know now that in the NEU there are loads more people who know what a fantastic organisation this is, and that's down to the fact that there are many people in the NEU who now know what FiLiA is and the work that it does.
Okay, so first on intermediate scrutiny, I don't want to bore our UK sisters with this constitutional thing, but I will say that I have a longer article on my Substack, catherinemacosta.substack.com, that goes into it and that cites legal journal articles on the limitations of intermediate scrutiny for women's rights. But you can read more about it there. Also, the article was written in consultation with some very good lawyers, including a Harvard-trained lawyer. So you can read the article if you want to know more about it. It was very lightly touched on in here. What I really wanted to say, though, is the one thing that I hope that we can go away with is to understand how sneaky the radical right is today. I hope that's what you can take from the video and when we show the longer one. How sneaky they are today. When you look at something like Independent Women's Forum and they are saying, oh, we can position ourselves as nonpartisan. You know, in the past we could point to, oh, look, that's a Christian right organization and we know patriarchal religion is bad for women. We know this is bad. But then you have Independent Women's Forum that wants to repackage it and use the language of feminism in order to push a right-wing message. So we have to be a lot smarter, a lot savvier in how we analyze these things, and especially with free speech, because Alliance Defending Freedom is now using, instead of litigating on the basis of religious freedom, they're litigating on the basis of free speech. So they try to impose their theocratic agenda, like Bible study classes in public schools, on the basis that not allowing it, not that it's a violation of their religious freedom, but a violation of free speech. And we can easily be tempted into this. It's hard because our free speech has been attacked by the trans rights movement. I mean, I don't have to tell anybody in this room about that. How many people's free speech has been suppressed by that? But at the same time, we have to understand how the religious right is going to capitalize on that now and go for the free speech angle. So we got to be really smart in our strategies and our analysis about going forward.
I kind of don't know what to think. I'm kind of bewildered because I feel like I've been in a coma and just woken up to us discussing, let's develop a feminist movement. It feels bizarre. what's bizarre, what's even more bizarre is the idea that we're even sitting here discussing a feminism that has any links with the right. To me, it's a no-brainer. If there is any alliance with the right, then we're not feminists. We cannot be. If we are feminists, then we do what Ali was saying, which is we leave no one behind. If there are feminists who are working with the right, I am left behind. Black women are left behind. I think one of the things that we would all do well, including myself, is remind myself of the feminist history that's gone on before us. Because people have fought and given their lives for us to be where we are. And we should at least do the courtesy of remembering that history, remembering not just the history of women who fought at Dagenham factory, but Jaya Ben Desai, who also broke barriers within the trade union movement when she challenged the trade union movement as well as her bosses, right? And in the process also said something about anti-racism. You know, the imperial typewriter strikers who are all Asian women who broke barriers, and there are so many others, and those are the women whose legacy I have inherited. And it seems to me that they didn't fight for us to go wandering off to the right, you know, and so I think that doesn't mean also that the left is in a good place. Sometimes the left behaves so much like the right that I wonder why we call them the left. But what I think that means for us as feminists is we have to be the custodians of left politics. And being custodians of the left politics means, of course, we make mistakes. Of course, we try and navigate this really difficult space that we're in. But I think at the moment, for me, the biggest thing that I have to do, I wake up every day and I say to myself, never stop being a Democrat. And if you are a Democrat, then you cannot be with the right. Since when did feminism stop being democratic? And I think that is the challenge for us. Well, I think that we ought not to be thinking, even contemplating anything to do with the right. We have to move forward a democratic, universalist politics that ensures that at the heart of our agenda is, of course, equality and progressive social justice for everyone. This is a tricky, tricky task. We will lose a lot, and what frightens me is how quickly gains that have been fought for over a century are lost overnight. And we are seeing this around the world. So I think we just have to, you know, redouble our efforts, be vigilant, be constantly fighting, and being brave and shedding our fearlessness. If the women in Iran can do it under the most difficult circumstances, why can't we? Why can't we? So let's stop talking about anything to do with the right. Let's talk about what does being a feminist mean, and how do we bridge the gap between anti-racism, anti-fundamentalism, feminism, and progressive social justice.
Okay. Thank you to all our wonderful speakers. Thank you to all of you for coming. And let's carry on talking to each other. Thank you.